Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you for visiting the page, and I'm going to try to update this page as many times as I can. If you're checking it on YouTube or you're checking out directly to the site, I do have a link to my website, which is x-framefitness.com. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, or subscribe. And the thing I want to tackle just really quickly is 5 common fat loss mistakes that people do. This is, after all, a fitness page, and I wanted to get into it right away because fat loss is just one of those things that people are struggling with nowadays. There's several reasons why, but I'm going to do 5 common mistakes that people do. I'm just going to go over them real quick, and hopefully you guys can get some good content from it. So the first one is counting calories. I see this mistake a lot, and a lot of people think, especially with the emergence of If It Fits Your Macros, and all this kind of crazy dieting. Calorie is not a calorie. First of all, I'm pretty sure you heard this before, and where people go wrong is, like, if it fits your macros in flexible dieting, a lot of people think they can just sub out, like, okay, I'm gonna have this much rice or X amount of beef, and interchange the two. Anybody who does follow the flexible dieting or the If It Fits Your Macros knows that you really have to look at the macros to the thing. You can't just sub out a protein with a carb, because they're 2 different metabolic pathways. So you can't. So meaning that they have a different hormonal response when you do eat them. Everybody knows, or everybody should know, that when you eat your carbohydrates, that triggers depends on the carbohydrate too. Anything that gets down to glucose, that triggers your insulin response, and it also triggers a leptin response if it's glucose. If it's fructose, it does not trigger an insulin response, and so therefore it doesn't trigger a leptin response. People are saying, "Oh yeah, that's great. It doesn't trigger an insulin response, but it doesn't also trigger a leptin response," which means that's the satiety hormone, which means you're not satisfied. So which also means it's not going to send those signals to the brain to say stop eating. It just means you're going to just keep eating. So that's one thing. Counting calories doesn't always work, because how do I say it's your hormones that do the work, not necessarily mathematics. Your body does not know math. It knows, it was based around science, and knows science. It does all these chemical reactions and stuff inside the body. It doesn't do mathematical equations. So it just doesn't work. Our ancestors never counted calories. They just ate quality foods, and that's really what it's about. The next thing is eating before workouts. A lot of people think, and they say, "Oh, I don't have the energy before my workout. I gotta go. Let me go eat a piece of bread or a sandwich or banana or something like that." Again, that's going to trigger insulin response. When you trigger an insulin response, that means you're going into storing mode. If you're going to storing mode, now your body cannot break things down, which is what you're trying to do. Usually, in the case of fat loss, if you're trying to break down body fat, your body's already in storing mode, and insulin is producing in the body. So that means it's like a traffic cop. It's stopping your fat from breaking down, and it's saying, "Hold on, fat, you can't break down right now because we're shuttling. You just brought all this sugar in the form of bread or banana, and we got to put it somewhere because it can't stay in the bloodstream as sugar. As we know, it's toxic, so the body has to convert it to something." So based on how much you already have in you, in terms of the carbohydrates or the glucose, the fructose, or anything like that, either it gets stored in the liver, whether it be fructose, or in any other cell, which may be glucose. Then if there's too much or too little, it gets stored. If it's too much, the body will convert it into fat. Another thing touching on that also is the most likely the reason why you're feeling tired before a workout or anything like that, there could be a lot of reasons. It could be lack of sleep, but most likely it's the quality of foods you're eating in the first place. If you're feeling tired and you feel like you can't work out, it's not because you need a sandwich. It's probably because you eat too many damn sandwiches or you eat too many like processed foods. You got to think about the quality of food you're eating once again. Another thing on the list is I would say overdoing on the cardio. And a lot of people, and this is where the skinny fat comes in. I'm going to just quickly break this one down. A lot of people go for an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. That's ridiculous going on the cardio machine. Your body is very efficient in using energy or saving energy. So let's say in the combination of, usually a lot of times people combine this with under eating or not eating enough food or watching what they eat. So what your body actually does when you do these long bouts of cardio, it says, you know what? We need to save this energy that you're using. So what does it do? Well, it holds on to the macronutrient that contains the most amount of energy, fat. It contains 9 calories per gram. So it'll hold on to that one because that has the most energy. And now, what is the macronutrient that uses the most energy? Protein, your muscle. So it'll break down, because your muscle is so efficient in breaking down energy, so it'll break that down. And there we get our skinny fat. You still are holding on to that body fat, but you broke down the muscle tissue, so you look like you're skinny and fat at the same time. I hope that clears things up. Going on that note again, under eating. That's the next one, the fourth one. Under eating is basically when you undereat, you're basically becoming nutrient deficient, and your body and your hormones, which I said your hormones are the real reasons. If your hormones are working for you, then your body will actually start doing what you want it to do. So under eating and being nutrient deficient, and seeing as our body works on nutrients in terms of satiety and your ghrelin and your leptin levels, your body sending signals saying, oh, I got enough this, zinc, magnesium, all these kind of stuff. It's like, so I'm satisfied in what I need. But if you put in foods that are not real foods, and you try to eat very little of them, because these foods contain no vitamins and minerals and all that kind of stuff, your body doesn't recognize it. So it says, hey, I want to keep eating, and sooner or later you're probably going to binge and eat a cake or something, or maybe 2 cakes. So that's another thing on the list. The final thing I want to say is buying into the idea of the marketing schemes that people have out there and that these companies have out there. These low fat, these natural, products. Usually, if it came out of a can or it's been processed or it has a mascot on it, I always say it's probably not the best thing for you. If you have your fat loss goals and you feel like you can't give these things up, that's something you're gonna have to deal with. You're gonna have to see, it's hard. I know some people can't give up Coke and Pepsi and all that kind of stuff, and it's very hard. I understand that. And it's like, but you got to look at your big picture. What it is, instead of looking at taking it away, what are you actually doing when you are removing this out of your system? You're buying in. You're buying into the longevity and the health and a lifestyle change and anti-aging even. All these things contribute to, basically, when it comes down to it, aging yourself faster. If you want to live that healthy lifestyle, if you want to feel good, and I'm telling you right now, the sugar that are in a lot of these things and the chemicals that are in a lot of these things that make us malnourished and nutrient deficient and hungry and uncontrollable, and these uncontrollable urges to eat more, It's because the lack of the nutrients that are in these processed foods. And sometimes these labels, they hide behind natural, but if it was natural, like, oh, it'll say a natural product, and this little wheat thin, 'cause it's natural, it's made with natural ingredients. Of course it may be made with natural ingredients, but by the time it's gone through the factory, it does no longer looks like the actual product that it was in the first place. And it's something to really think about. And I always say with these kind of products, or eating anything, you want to eat something that has gone through the least amount of factory production. I hope these 5 things have helped people out and helped people gain insight to what could be the problem in their diet or in their lifestyle. Please contact me if you do have any questions, or if you'd like to see some of the programs and things that I offer, and yeah, just contact me at xframefitfam@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. See you later.